shift on the 5+2 formula in assessment tool. I found that very interesting. And I want to share some stats that I found and to see how we can relate that. In today's society, many youth struggle with many different issues like bullying, uncertainty, and many other issues. And in 2023, based on the White Pulse News Consumption and Trust Survey for North America, teens between the ages of 13 and 17 reported that technology, overdependence, and addiction was number one in top of their problems. And then number two was the lack of acceptance, the respect, and inflation was number three in the cost of living. And number four, the climate change. And five, bullying. And number six was gun violence, which I thought would probably be more on the top of the tier. And number seven, mental health problems and crime and violence and insecurity. And number nine, substance abuse addiction. And number 10 was the lack of social skills. There's also a new phenomenon that I found emerging, which is that is not included in this report, but is that of teen dating violence, which is something that is kind of fairly new, that is being, more in the open now. And this is according to the youth.gov, an estimated 1 to 10 teens will experience dating violence. With that being said, how does the 5+2 formula help the youth in becoming more self-aware and gain more insights on themselves to help them make better choices and prevent some of these problems that we mentioned in that list? And I know it's a lot, but I was trying to see something that I can connect it to and hopefully connect.
Well, I very much appreciate your research that you did, because that's horrifying to hear these numbers. It's horrifying to hear the topics. So I'd like to start with the climate change number one. Why? Because that's outstanding. I remember when I grew up, my mom one day when I washed my hands, she said, no, you can't use that much water anymore. We're running out of water. Then a few years later, it was all about that. Oh, the trees are dying in Germany. Well, they're still forests and they're healthy. So then there came another, then was Chernobyl, the atom plant in Russia, back ex-Soviet Union, that had an accident. And then after that, we needed to be afraid of the war. And then we needed to be afraid of this. And then there came a virus. And then there's always something that the fear mongers are trying to plant into society, because I know one thing for sure, based on my own experience being a human. When I'm in fear, I have no access to the higher parts and pieces, areas in my brain where there's logic, where there's rational thinking, where there's critical thinking, and where there's compassion in the left frontal lobe. So when whoever we think of who that is, the fear-mongering doing or orchestrating the fear-mongering, we can just step out of that and say, I'm not participating now in the climate change fear-mongering. I'm going to observe it from a little more far apart, and then maybe the next time I'll be interested in participating again. So that is, I think, very important that we start thinking, and we start also listening to scientists who have very interesting thoughts on that, but don't have place in media, because we also want to remember that the media globally is owned by 5 companies. And I find that critical when we then think about it. Oh, what could that mean then? Now, the next thing is that role models are missing, I think. When we see that, let's say I grew up, I'm 2 years old now, and I see my mom all day long on the phone, and she's doing, yes, no, I cannot, and the voice message, and then children don't do what they're told to do. Children do what they see. So there's that saying, I'm not comparing humans to animals, but there's that saying where it says, monkey see, monkey do. And that applies to children. What children see, they will do. So in order to stop the addiction when it comes to the electronics and social media and what I heard you mention there, we must be a role model.